The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. This evening, we are gathered once again because the Ambazonian State Army in Bui is calling. It's calling. We know what's happening. The war in Bui is drastic. Cameroon is killing for this new year to neutralize the forces in Bui. A few days ago, we saw what happened in Donga Mantu with the help of CPDM loyalists and Fulani headsmen paid by government officials in Yaoundé from Nigeria to reinforce what the B is unable to do. An intelligence report has it that the Cameroon government is actively participating with criminal and terrorist movements in Nigeria to reinforce their game on the ground because their military, first of all, is unable to fight the war that they started. One of the reasons why Yaoundé has decided to use armed men is because probably it is cheaper to fund the Fulani headsmen in Nigeria and some terrorists or militants in Nigeria to join forces with the Amba boys that they created, the Atanganji boys, the Ngala Gerard boys, and to fight our people. So if there's any time that we need to be collectively vigilant, the time is today. If there's any time the Ambazonian State Army really needs us, that time is now. I want Stasma to tell us a little bit more, just to refresh our minds about what is Bui, why we need to do what we're doing today. And just after that, I will bring the lawyers for us to have a discussion. Members are already joining the Zoom. The Zoom is open. I don't know if you are there with the Zoom. I'm encouraging those who are in the Zoom to keep welcoming people to come in. Those who are watching us on social media, on Facebook and on YouTube, to continue to share very widely. If somebody was not informed before now, if you did not see our publicity before now, there is a humanitarian support for Bui that is ongoing this evening, and you have to participate. You have to make sure that you cannot be absent at this time. There is no other bigger prize that anybody is praying for the freedom of Ambazonia than what our brothers who have volunteered their blood, their own life, are paying at the home front. So when they call, we must respond. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Mr. Tarh. Before we get into our editorial for Bui, from the peoples of Bui, we want to say Nshati Mbeweredze. While as Ambazonia drafts the architecture of its counties, Bui stands not merely as a territorial unit, but as a living doctrine of resistance, discipline, sacrifice, and collective memory. Bui County is not a footnote in the struggle. It is one of its load-bearing pillars. We see a people forged by history. Bui County occupies a unique psychological and historical space within the Ambazonian national struggle. Well, long before the outbreak of the present liberation war, the people of Bui had cultivated a communal ethos rooted in self-reliance, moral rigidity, and resistance to domination. This is not accidental. It is the outcome of centuries of social organization that placed community survival above individual comfort and collective dignity above imposed authority. The Bui person is not easily subdued because Bui society has never been structured around submission. Authority in Bui culture is earned, not imposed. Leadership is respected when it protects communal values, not when it aligns with external power. Now, this foundational mindset explains why Bui did not merely join the Ambazonian struggle, it internalized it as a continuation of its historical duty. Now, when the colonial successor state unleashed violence, intimidation, and collective punishment, Bui did not retreat into fear. Instead, fear itself became the legitimized. The county earned the title, the Land of No Return, not as a slogan, but as a lived reality. Once the people of Bui committed to resistance, there was no psychological pathway back to submission. That irreversibility is Bui's greatest strategic contribution to Ambazonia as a whole. Bui's cultural architecture has functioned as a non-material defense system throughout the conflict. We see its traditions rooted in discipline, communal accountability, spirituality, and respect for ancestral lineage, having proven adaptable to the conditions of modern asymmetrical warfare. In Bui, culture is not ceremonial, it is operational. Communal labor systems transformed seamlessly into logistics networks. Traditional solidarity mechanisms became survival structures for displaced populations. Spiritual belief systems provided psychological grounding in the face of mass killings, village burn-ins, and prolonged militarization. Most critically, Bui culture rejects moral collapse under pressure. Even under siege, social norms remain enforced, community ethics preserved, and internal betrayal discouraged. We see this cultural coherence has denied occupying forces one of their most effective weapons, social fragmentation. Where other areas struggled with infiltration, informant, and breakdowns in communal trust, Bui's cultural fabric acted as a filter, absorbing pressure without tearing. And this is why Bui remains difficult to penetrate, difficult to pacify, and impossible to psychologically conquer. Looking at its military, we see Bui County has emerged as one of the most formidable operational theaters of the Ambazonian State Army, but its importance is not merely tactical. It is symbolic and doctrinal. The fighters of Bui are shaped by the same cultural values that define the civilian population: discipline, loyalty, endurance, and collective responsibility. The result is a fighting force that is not mercenary, not opportunistic, and not easily fractured. In Bui, the line between civilian and defender is not blurred, but it is bonded. The people defend the fighters, and the fighters embody the people's will. Bui's terrain, social intelligence networks, and population cooperation have made it a natural stronghold, a space where the state army does not merely operate, but belongs. This belonging is what frustrates external military logic. Firepower alone cannot defeat a force that draws legitimacy from the people themselves. Strategically, Bui has served as a moral compass within the broader struggle. Its resistance sets standards. Its sacrifices raise expectations, and its refusal to collapse under extreme brutality sends a message across Ambazonia. Liberation is not hypothetical. It is costly, and Bui is paying the price. For its national role, as Ambazonia drafts the future of its counties, Bui must be understood not only as a geographic entity, but as a national institution. Bui represents the proof of concept of Ambazonian sovereignty under fire. Politically, Bui demonstrates that self-governance is possible even in wartime. Social order has not disintegrated. Communal leadership persists. Authority is negotiated internally, not outsourced to the occupier. Symbolically, Bui anchors the national narrative of irreversibility. If Bui targeted relentlessly, punished collectively, and militarized excessively, it has not surrendered, then the idea of Ambazonia cannot be erased. In the post-liberation imagination, Bui will stand as a reference point for resilience, a custodian of revolutionary memory, a moral benchmark for leadership, a guardian of the sacrifices that made statehood possible. Ambazonia does not draft Bui County as a reward, it drafts Bui as a recognition of what has already been earned through blood, discipline, and refusal to kneel. To speak of Bui County is to speak of the spine of the Ambazonian struggle. Its people did not wait to be convinced. They understood instinctively what history demanded of them. Bui is not the loudest county. It is the steadfast one, not the most visible, but the most unyielding. And as Ambazonia drafts its counties into history, one truth is undeniable. A nation that carries Bui within cannot be erased. Once again, Nchati from Bui County.
Mute your mic, please.
Over to you now, Mr. Tarh Paddy King.
Okay, we just had Star Smart there. You're welcome back. We just had Star Smart there actually greeting us in Lamso. That's impressive. If you really didn't have a plan to participate tonight, just that greeting in Lamso is sufficient enough for you to see the need to participate. Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbesia, good evening and welcome. I just want to get a brief commentary for you so we can take some other stories before we progress. I think Commander Evis is here also to do some analysis with us. I'm going to be bringing him. Good evening, Barrister Fru. Good evening, Barrister Mbesia.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank you for another Saturday. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you for having us once more.
Yeah, you just heard what Star Smart analyzed there, which I thought was quite impressive and encouraging. What would you have to say just to support some of the compelling reasons that Star brought up in that editorial? Barrister Fru, please.
Paddy, Bui County is a land of no return, and is if there was a county that we can think that we hold our own, is Bui County, and Bui County cannot at this time falter because of lack of resources. So the calling of the coming to us today is a very important move to reinforce the Bui County. Can you imagine that 200 soldiers entered Bui market, a very important market in Bui County, and as we speak, they are installed there, and the Bui ASA is determined to flush them out. So this is the time for us to come together and support Bui County, because if you listen to what Star Smart has said, it just tells you how important Bui County is to this struggle. Bui County has stood the test of time, and I have no doubt that they will continue to stand tall, and that all those people, all the public soldiers that enter Bui will not go home. So this is our time. This is the time that we need to do something to make sure that we secure Bui. And of course, Bui is not the only county that we need to secure. We're securing all the 13 counties, but Bui is a leader. And when the leader falls, the troops can scatter. So we need every bit of reinforcement to make sure that we continue to do what it does best. It is a well-organized military garrison. It's well organized. The various units are doing what they are supposed to do. And how La Republic think that they can enter Bui and come out is left to be seen. But since they are still there, we have a duty to put at their disposal enough resources to be able to do the job. Thank you, Paddy.
I think it could not have been said any better. Bui is not just a leader. We understand that a few days ago, just before Christmas, Bui lost some fighters in Meza. Bui has been an instrumental, has been very pivotal in the strategic plan to bring order in Meza and different counties. So Bui is not just making sure that Ambazonia has some pride all across Bui towards the savannah, right into Ngokitunja. We've seen how versatile the Ambazonian State Army in Bui can be. And that's why Cameroon is keen on infiltrating, not just infiltrating the Ambazonian State Army in Bui, but they are replicating and duplicating and enforcing and making sure that every day they have new forces in Bui. Now they understand that the B is unable to do the job. So they are paying armament. The bandits in Cameroon can also not do it because the sons of Bui they have not been able to betray the sons of Bui against Bui. So they are going into Nigeria and paying terrorists to come and do the job for them, which is something really critical. Vice Ambazonia, please.
Thank you, Paddy, for having me. Again, this is Bui. I'm taking a cue from what said in the introduction. The young lady said, Bui is part of Ambazonia, but Bui holds Ambazonia. 2026, we have to consolidate our victories. I've said here on many occasions in the 2025, as far as Bui is concerned, that Bui might very well be the Waterloo of Cameroon in this war. They've concentrated on Bui. There's no reason why we should not concentrate there. I guess I'm commend this to be the next strategy for those our strategic planners. That where the enemy focuses his attention to, all Ambazonians focus there. We're there and make sure the enemy grounded there. Because if he's defeated in Bui, they may not have forces to redeploy in Manu or in Nongamantu or somewhere else. And so, as a new strategy, I suggest, going forward with the draft even, we should look at where fighting is ongoing and consider our efforts there. But is the case, the Republic to Cameroon, they are human beings. They have an army of beings who die. They have machines that are destroyed, that are put out of action. And so if we can put them out of action just in Bui alone, as I've just said, probably will not even have the forces to countries to fight. We admit that not all war fronts. Bui is a special war front. Today, drafting for Bui. We're not even drafting for Bui, we are drafting for here. Because if the war ends there, that's the end. And so, where the enemy concentrates, we up there. All the other counties, the federal government is there. Even if it is once or twice, if they Bui money, for example, or leave Bui to go to the BLM, why do we need to go to anything? Nobody. We'll make drafts as often as possible for Bui, or for wherever they go, they should and go to. If they leave Bui successfully, and so Dian will focus all of Dian on the action. I think it is a very good strategy. Bui is important, but we're at war. The enemy is the one who attacks. They know where they are focused, their strategy. Where they go and buy from Japan or from anywhere, they are enemies. The main front, we all need. If this money, we don't need. if the strategy will make it to defeat them there. Bui, for maybe in God, I think, might very well be the Waterloo of in this struggle. And so I encourage everybody, we should put out all what we have for now. Not closing our eyes, closing our ears. Tomorrow may not be if it's important, if it's necessary. But if we defeat them there and they successfully redeploy themselves to somewhere else, be it in Meme, be it in Iran, be it in Boyo, we will do the same. And then, as a strategy, we would have defeated them. Instead of going there in gangs, fighting us in Mayo, it's on the BLM, us in Boyo, we all concentrate on Boyo to make sure that they are all decimated there. Again, if they are decimated into redeploy anywhere else, it's a good strategy. I recommend that you just consider this as a very important way going forward to create the victories that were in the last 9 years. This 10 year, the final year, and this is the best way to buy it. Over to you.
Yeah, you just made mention of something on the 10 year. I want to get back into the newsroom so that they can, Commander Evis, I know you have a lot to talk to us, okay? But I'd like to examine some things into the newsroom right now so that we come back and we'll have enough time to debate why we mobilize people to get into the draft. I want people to understand that Cameroon, sponsored by or encouraged by France to fight a war against us, actually fought a war against French Cameroon for 15 years. The war that was resisted by the Umnobis, what is called a Cameroon War. That's part of a history that a lot of people are not aware. So the same forces, the same strategies are being employed today against the people of Ambazonia. When I was watching the videos, some of the videos last night, of the war that took place in neighboring French Cameroon, where you had the Maquisards had to come and seek refuge in southern Cameroon. What the French did at the time, when they kill a leader, they expose his body publicly to intimidate the civilian population. The French slaughtered hundreds, thousands of the southern Cameroon, of the people of La République du Cameroun, just to ensure that the French hegemony was instituted. And that is even before they brought in play Ahijo that we have today. So this is an existential battle. It's a battle that goes beyond what we think the gendarmes and the bees are doing. Because the people of French Cameroon are asking a question every day. Why are the bees even fighting the war? They cannot even answer it. So it's a war that we must make sure that we help our people to defend themselves. It's important. Self-defense is an internationally recognized human right, and the armed struggle under oppressive regimes and oppressive hegemonies like what we're experiencing is a legal thing. Every participation of today is a humanitarian activity. It's important for those who are going to be participating financially to know that they are getting involved into a humanitarian activity to save humanity from the evil forces of French Cameroon inspired by France. Now, I want to hear what Tabitha has to tell us. She's coming with a scope of what is happening in the world. And then I believe One also has something to tell us with what is happening on the ground so that we can feel the pulse of the moment, the war on the ground, and to see that we either choose as a people to exist or be annihilated. This is not a time for us to stay quiet. It's a time for us to speak as a people, and we are speaking with our pockets as well. I'll be right back.
This week on the global stage, headlines have been dominated by tension involving economic pressures and the potential of what we are seeing. This week on the global stage, headlines have been dominated by tensions involving economic pressures and potential regime change in the Middle East. And over to the United States. In the United States, a controversial immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota turned deadly when a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer shot and killed 37-year-old Nicole Good during a federal raid. The incident has ignited national outrage, intensified criticism of the Trump administration's immigration policies, and deepened political divisions between Democrats and Republicans. Also, we look at Venezuela, what is happening right there. President Nicolas Maduro's capture continued to reverberate across the region, influencing political dynamics far beyond Venezuelan borders, including the recent unrest in Iran. In Iran, protests that began over economic hardship have entered their 13th day, involving into widespread calls for the end of the Ayatollah's rule. International reactions are mounting. The United States has issued 10 warnings to Iran over its handling of protesters, signaling potential consequences if security forces continue to use lethal force against peaceful protesters. Meanwhile, human rights organizations report a rising death toll and widespread internet blackout as Iranian authorities restrict communications to curb dissent. Now, what is Trump's response to this development? He has formally issued a warning to the Iranian regime. Let's get into the details. Good evening and welcome to Global News. I am Thabita Akko. Let's begin. Tehran has been gripped by escalating violence as nationwide protests sweep across Iran, with buses, shops, and public buildings torched and large parts of the capital reduced to scenes of chaos. What began as street demonstrations has grown into one of the most serious challenges to the authority of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in years. Let's take a look. Right there on your screen, a situation ongoing right there in Iran. Human rights groups say at least 38 people have been killed and more than 2,200 arrested in clashes with security forces. The Iranian authorities have yet to publish full casualty figures. Now, with internet access severely restricted across much of the country, how many deaths and injuries remain unrecorded? Ali Salehi has made a response, a minister in Iranian's administration. Let's take a listen. The unrest comes against the backdrop of deepening economic distress and political anger. Iran is still reeling from a brief but intense 12-day conflict in June, when U.S. forces struck Iranian nuclear facilities, further weakening an already fragile economy and fueling public resentment. Many Iranians now see the turmoil not just as a protest over prices, but as a broader revolt against an Islamic system they believe has failed to deliver dignity, opportunity, and freedom. In recent days, protesters in several cities have openly called for the removal of the supreme leader, a demand that strikes at the very heart of the Islamic Republic. For a state built on religious authority and tight political control, what happens when fear begins to give way to open defiance? Protesters are now pleading for President Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu to come to their aid. Let's take a look.
Hi, Mr. Trump. Here is Mashhad City. Ayatollah killed my people. Please help my people. Please head to Reza Pahlavi. Come to Iran. Baby Netanyahu, please come to Iran. Please head to Iranian people. Ayatollah killed my people. Please help.
The immediate trigger for the protest was economic. Iran's currency, the rial, has lost much of its value, sending the cost of basic foods such as meat and rice soaring. Inflation is estimated at around 40% a year, pushing many households into hardship. Now, in December, the government added a new, more expensive term for subsidized fuel, ending an era of ultra-cheap petrol and raising fears of regular price hikes every 3 months. At the same time, the central bank scrapped preferential exchange rates for most imports, leaving only medicine and wheat protected, a move expected to drive food prices even higher. Demonstrations initially began among merchants and traders in Tehran before spreading across the country. What started as anger over living costs and turned political, tapping into years of frustration that intensified after the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in police custody, an event that became a powerful symbol of state repression. As security forces moved to crush the unrest, and communications are cut to limit coordination and reporting, Iran faces a deafening question. Can a system built on control survive when economic collapse and political fury collide in the street? And if these protests continue to grow, will the leadership respond with reform or with even greater force? Let's watch.
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely.
We're watching it very closely, Trump's response to the ongoing protests in Iran. Now, away from Iran and moving over to a recent development happening at the United Arab Emirates. In a shocking announcement making the rounds on the internet, the United Arab Emirates is taking a decisive action earlier warned. Is the United Arab shielding its people from the West when it comes to extremism? Let's take a listen.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
The United Arab Emirates has withdrawn government funding for citizens seeking to study at universities in the United Kingdom, citing concerns that students could be exposed to radicalization on British campuses. The decision removes UK universities from the United Arab Emirates list of higher education institutions eligible for state scholarships. The move comes amid growing diplomatic tension over London's refusal to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, according to a report by the Financial Times. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's designation of some chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood was welcomed by the Arab world. Let's take a look.
I think President Trump's designation or move to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization is strategic, courageous, and historical decision, because it addresses really one of the major roots of extremism in how a militant group with a lot of its proxies and others, have actually changed the narrative by using Islam as a political tool. And that will affect their ability to control mosques, it will affect their ability to finance, it will affect their ability to organize. The link between the SAF, the Sudanese army, and between Burhan and the Muslim Brotherhood is organic. We've also seen that some of the main fighting force really of the Sudanese armed forces in this 3-year vicious civil war have been actually Muslim Brotherhood brigade driven by Muslim Brotherhood commanders in order to reinstate themselves and go back as the government of Khartoum.
As a result, Emirati students who recently applied for government-funded study in the UK have had their requests rejected. The policy also means that academic qualifications from institutions not on the United Arab Emirates accredited list will no longer be officially recognized, reducing the value of degrees earned from UK universities. Also, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office said the UK has a zero-tolerance approach to extremism and maintains strict safeguards on student welfare and campus safety, while insisting the country offers one of the world's strongest higher education systems. The United Arab Emirates has long taken a hard line against Islamist movement, but both domestically and abroad during the 2023 to 2024 academic year, around 70 students at UK universities were reported for possible referral to the British government's de-radicalization program, the report said. United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan has repeatedly raised concerns about the UK's position on the Muslim Brotherhood. Starmer's government said the issue remains under close review. Let's take a look, and with that we'll head over to the news coming up from the home front.
Can I just join him in this feeling of trepidation, because I think we can all feel it across the country, trepidation and fear following on from the terrible impact that the Manchester attack had on all of our communities, but the Jewish community in particular. And absolutely assert and be clear that Hamas must play no role whatsoever. And that is why it's so important that we work with our international allies on the follow-through now from what happened yesterday: aid, security, making sure that the steps are in place to move on at speed. And that is the biggest risk, frankly, to this agreement, that we're not able to move sufficiently quickly on those important issues. And the Muslim Brotherhood question we do keep under constant review.
All right, let's take a few reports coming in from the home front. Let's start with the reports coming in from Nkwame, where a powerful demonstration of community resilience and collective responsibility of residents of Nkwame neighborhood in Bamenda now have access to clean potable water. And this is thanks to the grassroots initiative driven by local leadership, partnership, and donor support. The project was spearheaded through the exceptional fundraising effort of Zui Manto, whose commitment mobilized resources and goodwill to address a long-standing water challenge in the community. Coordination and on-the-ground execution were led by Kamita Ashu, who ensured the project moved from vision to reality efficiently and transparently. Key to the project's success was the professional support of Lian Boho borehole, the company responsible for drilling and installing the borehole. Their work, alongside the generous contribution of all the close friends of the project who chose to remain anonymous, made it possible to complete the initiative at an affordable cost and in record time, delivering immediate impact to local residents. Now, this achievement shows a broader reality. When essential public services fall short, it is often the people themselves who rise up to meet their own need. Despite ongoing tax contribution, many communities continues to face gaps in basic infrastructure. The Nkwem Water Project stands as a testament to what collective actions, accountability, and local leadership can accomplish within formal systems, and it has been shown here. And of course, organizers extend heartfelt gratitude to all donors and supporters, offering prayers and blessings for their generosity. So it simply means that the people would have to get clean water for them. And as clean water begins to flow in Nkwem, the project is serving as both a lifeline for residents and a reminder that sustainability change or sustainable change is possible when communities come together to provide for themselves and provide for their own. All right, we're heading straight to Ngokentuja Division, and Ngokentuja, Reverend Father Killian Ndowe, the registrar of Pax University Institute in Dub, has been kidnapped in Ngokentuja. Of course, sources have confirmed to their kidnap in Ngokentuja, and this is not the very first time the kidnap has happened, but the sources confirmed to Undaunted. And according to information gathered, the abduction occurred under unclear circumstances, with the identity of the perpetrators yet to be officially established. While early reports suggested the possible involvement of people they called unknown gunmen, sources emphasized that the kidnappers are currently unidentified gunmen, and no group has claimed responsibility for this. The incident comes barely 2 months after a similar wave of kidnapping in the same general area, during which more than 6 individuals, including the university's vice chancellor, were abducted. That earlier incident raised security concerns around academic institutions and movements within Ngokentuja. As of the time of reporting, filing in this report, no official statement has been issued by the university authorities or security forces regarding Reverend Father Ndowe's condition for efforts to secure his release. The kidnapping adds to growing fears among residents, clergy, and educational staff in Ambazonia, where recurring abductions continues to disrupt education, disrupt religious life, and of course, disrupt community stability. Undaunted will continue to follow developments as more information becomes available. But this is just to also add that within the week, we have reported series of abduction, and this is just one of the numerous abduction reports that we have. Mr. Paddy, we do not have so much time. Here are 2 reports that should be of interest to you tonight.
Thank you very much, Onye, for that. We have a lot this evening, Commander Elvis. So much for us to cover. I saw the way Barrister Fru, you're actually shaking your head there, seeing the community activity that took place in Quem. We just thought that we should give, you see, that's when you engage in community activities to empower our people, to leverage their sufferings and make them get some succor, you're actually fighting the war. This is part of the war against Cam, because the strategy is to impoverish Ambazonians and to get them to submit to the Franco-Bulu Beti hegemony, which we have to stop. Any way possible that we have to help our people, that should be now and only now. So I want to hear from Commander Evis before we get to analyze some of the things that are happening in the world and how to link them in our struggle. Commander Evis, please. Your head starts smart that I was talking to the people of Ambazonia and started by expressing herself in Lamson, which I thought that was quite impressive. the people of Bui need to applaud ABC Amba TV for that. But what do you have to say about some of the things that Star Smart said? Please come on ahead, talk to us.
Thank you very much for that opportunity once more, Director Paddy. Thank you again for sharing the stage again with Barrister Ambassador and Barrister Fu. It's always a pleasure. I want to also thank Star for that wonderful report. Matter of fact, you see that she is able to articulate herself already in Lamsa, so that is kudos to Director Paddy and the team. I was very impressed with the report, precisely because it was well founded, very in-depth, and it touched on every aspect of why the Boy people in Ambazonia as a whole need to stand strong. It just reminded me of the situation that we are presently facing. We see just this week how the Moros that used to be causing havoc in Nigeria that were accused of killing Nigerian Christians that had been bombed, matter of fact, on Christmas Day by the President of the United States. How they have infiltrated and are on a move towards Boy County. They're already in Donga Mantung. They've already killed a whole lot of our fighters, as we saw just less than a week ago. And their target is to join forces with La Republique, as they have been doing, and get into Bui and make sure that Bui is decimated. These are the kind of rallies that we need to make the international community understand that we are fighting a war that has a lot of facets that the enemy is using. And from the diplomatic perspective, we should be able to ring that bell loud and clear that Bui in particular is being surrounded in all frontiers. La Republique is trying to do everything to make sure that Bui collapses, understanding that if these warriors are able to capitulate, Paul Biya would have a smile. But we have bad news for him. We know that Bui is a line of warriors. We know that we are surrounded by warriors of all caliber, be it from our great warriors that have already gone before us and those that are still to come. There are many from where those came from. So we are confident that with Ambazonian support, as Bui has always gotten, Bui would be able to continue to fight La Republique to the last man standing. Matter of fact, we are able to defeat La Republique in Bui County. That also reminds me of some great wars that I've been opportunity to be a part of. I think of places like Afghanistan, where we had places like Kandahar, Kabul, or Bagram that fought so hard. It's not the whole country in Ambazonia that would have to fight. If La Republique decides that we end this battle in Bui, we are able to make Bui the Waterloo. And the forces in Bui have shown them from their level of engagement, from their tenacity, from their determination, they are dedicated to the task. They are dedicated to getting the mission accomplished. And if Ambazonians can rally and provide these warriors with what they need, we are very certain that we would smile and we would see La Republique pack and leave within the shortest time possible. I think that also looking at the cultural aspects, there are aspects right now where La Republique is trying to use the cultural elites to also infiltrate some of our communities. Head Onye also will give a great report there about the community activities that are happening in Mezam County, in to be precise, Gwen. These are also happening in other places of Ambazonia. And unfortunately, some of those activities are championed by colonial elites who masquerade as people that are coming to save the community, but are actually coming to make sure that they feed fat on our community and use that opportunity to eradicate our Ambazonian state army. That is precisely a kind of situation that Bui finds itself right now, where the Bui market, the main market as we all know it, that is the hub in Bui County, where traders from all villages around the county come to do their trading. That is the second market after you leave Bamenda main market. If you don't find anything in the Kumbo market, the only place you will find it is going all the way to Bamenda. So La Republique coming to actually displace those people that are traders there, loot the shops, and make sure that the people are going bankrupt, that the people have nothing to eat, they don't have a place to be able to buy their goods and services, all thanks to the elites of Bowie County that have provided the funds so that the enemy can come in and settle in the market. That is an abomination, and the people of Bowie cannot take that. Bowie people have said, we will call on Ambazonians to come to our rescue. We know that the battles fought in Bowie and won in Bowie are battles for Ambazonia, and we believe in their power to be able to conquer these enemies. The Germans tried it, they did not succeed. The French are trying it, and they would not succeed. And those elites from Bowie County who portray themselves or want to gain favors from La Republique, they're doomed, because the warriors are determined that come what may, they would send them out packing. And that is why today, as a special day for the county, a special day for whosoever is a loving friend of Ambazonia, a loving friend of Bowie, that Bowie is calling on all of them to come one, come all, and to be able to support them so they have what it takes for them to accomplish the mission. The task ahead is daunting, but so is the resolve. And all they need is the support. They need your prayers, so you pray for them. They need your moral and financial support, so they are able to get the job done. As we all know, it's one of those counties that have made us all proud when it comes to displaying our military might, as Tarh reported, when it comes to holding strong to our code of conduct, making sure that the forces are not just forces that fight La Republique, but they're forces that actually train and provide a message to the people of Ambazonia that tomorrow, this is how we're going to govern. This is how we're going to rule our territory, So they already have those structures implanted. And Bowie is a county that all other counties are learning from. And we're proud to take that mantle. We would not allow La Republique and its cronies to come and dent all the progress that we've done within these 9 years. We're also hoping on the international community that we'll be able to call on the international community to see the mayhem that La Republique is trying to bring into Bowie. One, bringing in these Mbororos, or that have been chased from Nigeria to infiltrate and come into Ambazonia. And number two, the elites from Bowie that have contributed huge sums of money to come and destabilize our civilian population. Just imagine the fact that, stopping the La Republique terrorists settling down in the main market and what that causes a lot of displacement, and it keeps people homeless. It makes our people having a future of uncertainty, which has been guaranteed by our fighters for the past 8 years. They've held the place stable. People did not have to beg for food. They knew where they could go and shop. But La Republique, instead of going to fight our fighters where they know they are, they come and they decide to go and settle in the main market and chase away people.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, they are looting and stealing, and they are just, ramshackling the whole place. And we need to bring that to an end. We are calling on all friends of Bowie to come to our aid. We have what it takes, and we just need their support and prayers to be able to eradicate these hoodlums once and for all. Thank you, Director Paddy, and I'll hand the microphone back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Commander Evans. We'll get back to you just before we end it. This program is going to be very short, and I'm telling the authorities in the Zoom meeting, at any time you really want us to cut off, please let those who are watching us from the Zoom, you want to invite people, keep sharing the Zoom link and inviting people to join. Those who are watching us on Facebook and on YouTube, the Zoom link is important. I'm going to put it now in the comment section. Please, you can also join the Zoom because this program ends exactly on top of the hour. We're going to stop. Barrister Fru, you've heard from Onye what is happening. I know there's a lot you want to talk on that. Barrister Mbesi had said, and you probably would have heard some of the reports we have been reporting about Mbui. There's so much for us to talk about. I'd like us to commend the effort that was done by the Kemita Ashu community in Kwen and other things that Ambazonians are doing in Mbui. So much for us to talk about. I will try to be brief as possible. But there's also something important which the State Department watches us every weekend. The American Embassy in Yaoundé watches us every weekend. And we are directly talking to them now. It's not just to come and watch or probably to see where you can crop an image where you're going to implicate our people in Kansas City or show it in court. This is a time when we are ringing the bell for all to hear and to take action. Terrorism is true in Nigeria today because evil politicians in Abuja took upon themselves to patronize armed men, bandits, Islamic extremists for their political gains. Now it has gotten to a point where they cannot control it. Cameroon military has failed in the war they declared in Ambazonia. And you have Ngala Gerard, CPDM loyalists, Tanganji, and a lot of cronies in the Ngokutunja Bui Savannah axis. They are actively getting into Nigeria with a lot of money from taxpayers in Cameroon, patronizing and using the exact same strategy that led terrorism active in Nigeria. It's happening in Ambazonia as we speak. The Cameroon B has been unable to fight the war Biya declared. I cannot stop talking about this. Now they are paying armed men in Nigeria to come in civilian attire and to kill our people. So we're asking, is the United States of America waiting when a terrorist group would have taken over the South African region for them to intervene? These are some of the questions I am asking, and perhaps you, the lawyers, know, have the better diction to communicate this for all to understand. Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, Paddy. Thank you very much. On Christmas Day, or was it New Year Day? I cannot pinpoint. President Trump bombed the terrorists in northern Nigeria, the Islamic terrorists, the people who are killing Christians in northern Nigeria, and now Paul Biya has now positioned himself using his proxies like Ngala Gerard and the rest of it to go to those that are running from the bombing in North Nigeria, pay them to come down to Cameroon, to come down to Ambazonia and enter Ambazonia from the savannah and are killing our people. I hope the United States is listening. They know exactly and they can track them. We need help, and we need help where we can get it. We cannot be fighting a war for 9 years and a war of self-determination for 9 years, and terrorists are being brought from Nigeria by La République du Cameroun and its agents like Ngala Gerard and Alaji Dampolo. From my findings, is also financing. It's giving La République the money to make sure that those terrorists in northern Nigeria are now swimming and coming down to the southern Cameroon to attack our people. I hope that the United States is taking note of what has happened. We need their help. We need their help right now to get rid of those terrorists before they form another group in Savannah of the southern Cameroons. because La Republic has failed to defeat us. They have now bought terrorists from northern Nigeria in the name of Fulani people, and they are joining with other terrorists on the savannah who are Bororo people. They have been paid, they have been financed, they have guns, they have been well equipped by La Republic of Cameroon. And I don't see why the Biya regime cannot be held to account. The Biya regime should be declared a terrorist organization, and that they are fighting against the interests of the United States. Because if they are using the same terrorists that are running from northern Nigeria, it means that they are working against the work that President Trump did in northern Nigeria on Christmas Day. Please, I hope that this is going straight to those who are listening to us. And I want to say that we are a law-abiding people. We will not tolerate terrorists in our territory. And anybody entering our territory from northern Nigeria and coming through to Kambe and coming down to Bui, they have already caused a lot of havoc by killing our people in Kambe. What is it that they will not do if we do not raise the resources? We on our part, we should put the resources together and make sure that we give our people enough resources to fight back. In the meantime, that will not defeat the terrorists. The terrorists must be defeated from where they are coming from. As they are moving down, everybody is seeing in their satellites all over the place. So they must be taken out. I hope the international community is listening to us, because before you know it, the terrorists would have left northern Nigeria and find itself in northern Ambazonia. Paddy, it's a very sad situation. We have now two enemies. We're fighting the bee from down this way, from Fako right up to Meme to Mesam, and now we are going to be fighting both the bee and the terrorists, Bororo and Fulanis from northern Nigeria, coming down from the north to annihilate our people. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of fighting to do. We need the resources we can get. Thank you very much, Paddy.
Vice Ambassador, please. Vice Ambassador, you have the mic.
I thought Mr. So is still talking.
No,
I finished that.
Okay, all right. I think there's a lot that has gone on in the last segment. You see, what the United States did, Sokoto, in Nigeria, I don't think they were fighting terrorists. They claimed that they were trying to protect them because Christians were being hunted according to him. But the issue is whether a single strike like that affects the Christians as a bloc, or not shown that a single strike, if it is democracy, will not bring democracy anywhere in the world. We learned this from George Bush Sr. He brought down the government of Iraq, claiming that they wanted to bring democracy there. Is there democracy in Iraq today? We saw Obama bring down the government of Libya, claiming that they wanted to bring democracy. Is there democracy in Libya today? Certainly. Where are the gold that the Libyan government kept? They disappeared. And the very arms that they sold to Libya have descended to North Africa, including Nigeria. They are falling into the hands of the so-called terrorists, which are being used against everybody in the country. But I thought this guy with the Boros and the Fulani, I have opportunity to say here many times before So the Boros living there forever with their neighbors. At every single city, you're going to find Hausa quarters. These are the Fulanese and the Boros. They're in Kumba. Are they dangerous? Not. Surfacing at this level with city. They are not, we're describing them wrongly. No. To me, they are just mercenaries. God is using mercenaries. When does men use mercenaries in war? They use mercenaries when they have suffered immense human casualties. They don't want their population to know that they are losing people. So people, soldiers that they pay to come and fight from somewhere else. And if they die, their death has no meaning to the population, the local population of the country. And so they've gone on hiring mercenaries. I call these people mercenaries because I have not seen, and maybe it is there, a drove of terrorists moving down from somewhere else or somewhere Kaduna in droves and coming down to our borders and coming women and so on and so forth. Now, select.
But let me ask you a question that will help you to expand more. You have enough time to speak. Let me just ask you a question to add. What's the difference between state-paid mercenaries and terrorists? Yeah. So we need to understand the technicalities involved in that, and what is the legal implication in light of international law? Because what the comparison we're trying to put here is this exact same situation. That's how Boko Haram started in Nigeria.
Yes.
In fact, government officials in Abuja actually acknowledge their involvement with Boko Haram, and it is uncontrollable today. Our concern as the people of Ambazonia, we are saying that whether it is B2 or 3 or 4 mercenaries, Cameroon is actively, directly and indirectly
financing them,
financing these people against our people. Our interest is not to question the United States of whatever they are doing in Nigeria and their objective or their successes. It is the interest of our people and how it is spewing up into our country, and our people are becoming a victim. So we're asking a question: if anybody is supposed to intervene, when should you intervene? What are the legalities involved? How do we use that to navigate our narrative? So that's the question. I just wanted to orientate the conversation, please. Go ahead, Mr. Mbisia.
Yeah, your attempt to present your put in so many that are not for. I've seen those people are I asked to know the mercenaries. A mercenary, listen to me then. A mercenary is a soldier for money. For example, let me take an example. There are Cameroonian soldiers who have been paid in Ukraine. They just go to Ukraine to fight against Russia, or paid by Russia just for the purpose of that war. And they die there. Some of them dead. Are they terrorists? No. They are simply so fortune. Who go out to make as much as they can. Can Cameroon government, for example, those individuals who abandoned their profession and went to Russia or to Ukraine to be paid for much money, because it's very, very expensive. I was trying to say that those guys are terrorists who work for money. You know they could die. And why they do that? Why the government does that? By the figure count that we know, they have lost so many of those years. Population may rise against them. So they get these soldiers. I'm not trying to caution what they're doing. They're individuals. So even if you kill a Bororo man, call him a Bororo man or mercenary, it doesn't act on the Cameroon army, on the Cameroon politicians. He's not a Bulu guy. He's not a Bangi boy. It's not a Bameriki boy. He dies. That's the distinction I was trying to make. And I was comparing this general name. I was trying to say, in every single quarters, in every town, we have the people called the Buru people. They are not bad. They live with us. But I've said this many times before. Why is it so much there? It is because the government is cautioning it. Why are they not being arrested? Why are they not being put on trial? They are just criminals. It's using them. to fight a war which by the unable to fight. That's the point I was just making. But that's not the most important. I wanted to address essentially what about in Queen. That's what comes. What did
Yeah, go ahead, please.
By looking getting water for water. That young man, individual, you could make. But people in Queen, like other places in Cameroon, in Ambazonia, have water to drink. They don't have electricity to see. When you have a borehole, the whole world like they're celebrating, they celebrate you, giving them water. If you bring a generator, they celebrate you for giving light to see. Is this what we must be? Now, I was trying to illustrate in the 1960s was something in community school in reading a SATA, Swiss technical assistant. They dealt with water community. They could, if they could exploit all the places in Ambazonia, need borehole, then they would teach you about not obvious. It's a borehole, a very difficult thing that the government of Cameroon cannot give to people in two boreholes. Right now that I was speaking, they want to play football in Morocco. Everybody coming and leaving million francs CFA. 14 million.
Yeah, by Zambia, let me comment a little bit because of by Zambia, can you hear me? Please just finish because of time. Yeah, because of time, please try to round up, please.
Well, I've not said much. I was just trying to. You brought the topic about water.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to that have that boreholes at the cost. They have used football, for example, could bring a lot of boreholes. Just last week, they continue. So people scrambling around of the water from the borehole. A dog in his compound. So I have a borehole 1.5 million. So belong to the country having aid is a bit from the president. Seeing light, having electricity is a big achievement. Is this where we want us sometimes? That's not where that's not where we are supposed to be. We are supposed to be supposed to bring back SATA. The people in Kwenene will have one. The people in the wherever the neighborhood they would have part provided to them, but they got of their own. And technical assistance. That's the point I'm driving, and that's the reason why we must continue to until we get to where we deserve to be. Over to you.
Yeah, so I was not just trying to cut you short, it's because of we have very limited time and I wanted to focus the discussion. I want, not that I'm rounding this up, I want to thank Kemita Ashu for the water project in Quest. I'd like to appreciate other Ambazonians to take up initiatives like that, because if we don't help our people, who else is going to do it? So it is very important that that project was executed. I hope Cameroon government will not take advantage of that to go intimidate and bring problem to the people. Now, what I really want us to talk about, which is the core of the matter, and maybe somebody would think we are doing propaganda. This is an image of, I don't know, by Zambia calls mercenary, but I'd rather call them terrorist organizations. I prefer to use that word because we've had Cameroon try to press on the narrative of terrorism, calling our genuine Ambazonian fighters terrorists. Now, this is somebody actually testifying. I want to play this video from its beginning. This is someone testifying of the activity that he has been commissioned to do. Let us hear him out.
You do work for outside? I work for Ndawara. No give you gun where you turn with them. Say me do with the gun. Say me work a kill Ambale. So now you and who become for Jichami can't show people they made a kill him. Nah, me no army them. Then now who again be there? Lamboro man for inside you.
Mumini.
Who say Mumini there now?
Mumini no day for now. I don't feel we don't go now.
Okay, show say there where they go bingo. Now only you be there, Mumini will be there again.
Yes, sir.
So you go show people the place from bingo, the bomb place, eh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Today, so Amba don't catch you. Okay. You go do how?
Well, I don't know. I go die for Amba hand today.
You know, go tell Mboro people they say, maybe they no do that thing again.
I go talk.
Huh? You go take then that cow there for Bafu now, then go take them.
No, I know because sir.
I thought it was important for us to listen to this. If you listen to that interrogation by the Ambazonian State Army, that was very tactful. I think I need to really applaud the person that did that interrogation, because if there is any evidence we need, there's sufficient evidence. First of all, the looting and stealing that is taking place at the home front, we now know those who are doing it. These are armed men sponsored by Cameroon government, Ndawara, that is Alaji Dampulo, the so-called richest man in Africa. So what Alaji Dampulo does, which we now, this is one of many and hundreds of evidence that we have, is to use his money to make sure that he ensures the Franco-Cameroon hegemony in the southern Cameroons at all costs, to the extent that he's willing to kill his own people. So Alaji Dampulo has effectively, he's one of those actually paying for the Fulani and the Mbororos or the Boko Haram or ISIS in Nigeria. Alaji Dampulo pays them, transport them into southern Cameroon to do the dirty jobs of Cameroon. This is clear. I hope the United States, you are listening. Do not just come and crop my images to go and show it when Frank and the others are in court. This is something you need. And do you have enough resources to investigate what we are saying now? You don't just need my videos to show in court. You have to use the video to investigate what is happening on the ground. This is important. My question that I asked that I didn't get a clear answer is, mercenaries, terrorists, which I think are terrorists, is the same thing Nigerian, some officials of the Nigerian government were doing to ensure their political hegemony in Nigeria. Cameroon is copying the same thing. And clearly it will get to a place where they cannot control. Because these guns you are giving to people on train, weed smokers, cocaine dealers, you can't take those weapons back from them. They become, for whatever reasons you're giving them, it is clear what they do. They go to loot, to steal, and to kill civilians. What are international organizations, human rights organizations saying about it? In fact, what is the legal implication for a state, if you want to call it mercenaries? Because mercenaries seem to me like a legal word. If you want to call it mercenaries, how is this legally implicating? These are the questions that we need to ask. And this, Commander Evis, please give us some time. I want the lawyers to talk on this as we conclude. What is the legal implication of these activities by Dampulo? Please, Baisafru.
Look, Dampulo, through La République de Cameroon, is sponsoring terrorists from northern Nigeria that have been bombed. And they are coming down and they are now arriving in the northern part of Ambazonia, and they are killing our people. They are not mercenaries. The mercenaries are a group of people who have been trained like soldiers, and they give their services, and their services are paid by a country to help them fight a war. Those are mercenaries. But terrorists are those people who are extremists, who anybody can pay them, give them arms to go and cause harm on any of their enemies without and they are hiding behind it and financing them. That's terrorism. Because I don't see there is no really a thick line between mercenaries and terrorists. Mercenaries exist for money, yes, and they are well-trained soldiers, yes. It's like in Central Africa, you have the what do they call them now, coming from Russia, the Wagner group. You can call them mercenaries, but they are not terrorists. But if you have extremists who do nothing but kill people, kill civilians, come down and kill civilians and kill our people, going after what they call amber and killing them in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day, those are terrorists. I don't see any other definition of terrorism.
Yeah. Now, looking at an example of this image, for instance, this is an example of an image of somebody funded and armed by Ndawara, Alaji Dampulo, the richest man in Cameroon and French Africa. How, by definition, is this person a mercenary? We also have
a terrorist
of Galactica doing the exact same thing. And I want to come back to you, by Stambesia. How can we categorize a person like this a mercenary? By Stambesia, please.
Paddy, I think we deal so much on that have no meaning in these debates. Now, another man, what happened to him? Much emphasizing that's not what is important. You don't get to the facts. Leave them aside. What happened in Garibu? Listen to me. What happened in Garibu? Read the report from the Ministry of Defense. The official report said that the God arms recruited local people, paid them, gave them the arms. This is evidence in writing. They went and did all what you and me know. It is in writing. And then the people you recruited, and where are the arms you gave them? They kept quiet. We don't know where they are. It's a crime, of course. It's so clear. It's admitted by the Ministry of Defense. Called the mercenaries, or Marquisans call it, they recruited people who were not supposed to be there. And they were not supposed to kill. They kill women, they kill children, they kill pregnant mothers. That was the official Ministry of Defense. What difference does it make if terrorists or mercenaries? The Cameroon government has admitted doing it. The consequence of this. Well, as well as the legal thing. This written report, which I think some of us still have.
Yeah.
All embassies have it. Does the American embassy have it? Does the British embassy have it? Does the French embassy have it? I don't know it. So it is not because they don't know. What is the aim of the whole idea? They want to kill as many of us as they can. And so, as I've said, and I'm insisting on that, when they realize that we are killing theirs as much as they kill us, it affects them locally in their constituencies. And to avoid, they will recruit anybody as if for money. Somebody want to fight for money, gets paid. It's not equally, it's paid for the job. Remember, doesn't ask for pay. Ask those guys in Garibu. What did they give them? To Garibu and keep people. Paid cash. Maybe I don't know how many millions each. There's a difference between them and Boko Haram that will come and take women and take babies. These are rules or what? They are working for pay by the government to kill your own people, to hide their own tracks, and to prevent their own losses. That's the bottom line. We should spend 2 days defining terrorism.
So by Sambesa, if I do understand you very clearly,
we should have that report. It's enough evidence for us to prosecute that one. This is evidence from the government in writing, signed by the Minister of Defense, signed by Tom Fagwa, was the spokesman for the Minister of Defense.
I'm going to come in, but Tafru, I'll give you the mic, please. Let me just coordinate. I'll give you the mic before I get to Commander Evis to conclude he's a military person here, so he understands military laws and implications. I get to understand by Stambesia very well. What by Stambesia is actually saying is Cameroon, giving the example of Garbu, actually paid people, which I call them bandits. He calls them mercenaries. I call them terrorists. He says Cameroon government pays these people to close their tracks, and there's a report to give evidence to that, to kill civilians. But what I want to strike as a stark difference is the situation in Dongamanto and Bui. You have proxies of the Cameroon. Either we know that Dampulo is a proxy of Cameroon government. He is a CPDM loyalist. Ngala Gerard is a CPDM loyalist. These are civilians, not even like the minister Atanganji. That's why I'm not bringing Atanganji here, because they could use some law to say, okay, he's actively working with government, even though it is not his portfolio to recruit armed people. I'm talking about civilian business people. They call them business tycoons that have taken upon themselves to recruit armed men from terrorist organizations. That that means if you go, according to the United States reports, the Fulanese herdsmen are described by Donald Trump as extremist, Islamic extremist terrorists.
Correct.
So Dampulo has paid people from the extremist terrorists, according to America, and is importing them in Ambazonia or transporting them into Ambazonia to kill civilians, which is probably different from what happened in Garbo. This is what I want. This is the difference I want to clear. This information is important to me. You know why? Because these footages are being used actively by Cameroon proxies. When we come and sit here to speak, they watch it, they use it. Cameroon is using our videos as evidence in court. So I want to give more evidence for their use. I'm saying that we have evidence of Dampulo going to Nigeria to pay terrorist organization, members of terrorist organizations, to come and use in Ambazonia. I don't see them as mercenaries. Anyway, that's where I differ with Barrister Mbesia somehow. Maybe Cameroon has used mercenaries somewhere. But what is happening in Dongamanto are terrorist militants in Nigeria that have been paid and they are used in Ambazonia. Barrister Fru, please.
Look, Paddy, what Dampolo is doing and Ngala Gerard are doing is exactly what the politicians did in Nigeria to form Boko Haram. They paid these people. They paid them to go and kill. They paid them to come to, and they don't have any formal training other than what they get from when they start forming themselves in the group and eating together. But from the beginning, they were paying people who did not know anything but to kill, and they bought weapons and gave them. Dampolo is doing the same thing. Dampolo is financing, Garajera is financing, and Garajera, I don't know where he gets his money, but he gets his money from the regime. It's a proxy for the regime. Dampolo is a CPDM member from the Central Committee member of the regime. They are both paying these terrorists from northern Nigeria. I call them terrorists. I will not call them mercenaries. Let me define mercenaries again. Like, look, mercenaries are legal around the world because they define themselves as a fighting group that anybody who wants help, they can come and pay them to go and fight for them. They call them here in the United States contractors. They call them somewhere else as mercenaries, but they are properly trained and their work is to fight as an army. They don't come like the regular man that you have just seen there. That's a terrorist. And he has been brought all the way maybe from Nigeria. And he's been paid. It's not that they gather them, give them money. Look, do this, buy guns and put in their hands. And they come down and they are killing our people in the middle of the night, killing civilians like the two civilians that they just killed in Mwa. Huh? They are terrorists by definition, and the Biya regime and its acolytes and the CPDM acolytes in Norway should be declared a terrorist organization because of what they are doing to us. And they are not only doing it to us, very soon they will extend. Very soon they will expect to do it instead. They are doing it in northern Cameroon. The Boko Haram that is coming out of northern Cameroon are terrorists. And they are coming from Nigeria.
Based on my research, I started writing on stories about Boko Haram since 2013 when I was in Chad. I left Chad in 2012, coming down to Bamenda when I was transferred. And my observation has always been that there was no reason for Cameroon to, first of all, get themselves involved with the Boko Haram. Cameroon government superimposed themselves with Boko Haram because they wanted to steal money, they wanted to borrow money, and they wanted help. We now saw that the arms that were given by the United States of America to fight the so-called terrorism combat in the north are weapons that Cameroon is actively using to kill the people he calls his own in Southern Cameroon. Now, my objective for this discussion tonight is I have two objectives, which I'm proudly saying. Marcela is calling me, which means that they want the program to end. Please, let's just conclude. I have two objectives. One objective is to make Ambazonians to see the need why we need to morally and humanitarianly support our people today. Number two objective is to give an audiovisual account that has at least an evidence of the terrorist activities of Cameroon and their proxies. The connection is simple. Cameroon is actively, through their proxies, Dampulo, Ngala, Gerard, we have evidence, paying people who have been considered by the American government in Nigeria for doing terrorist activities, and they are institutionalizing them in the Ambazonia. The future may be darker than it is today if action is not taken. I rest my case. Commander Evis, please conclude the program for us.
Let me just say something. Commander Evis, over.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Please.
Well, I was trying to say this. I think why I belabor the point. Nobody is defending Ngala Gerard or Dampulo. They are just two of the several agents we have. CPD people who went to and had the fund, who was part of them, and used him. What difference would that make? Civilians. If it is insisting on terrorism, fine. Boko Haram is already declared a terrorist organization. If those guys who worked in Garbo or who trespassed from down coming, we call them Boko Haram, they already, Boko Haram is already classified as an organization all over the world. So what else do you want them to designate terrorist organization? You as an individual? Or Ngala Gerard as an individual? Who act of getting the either through Dampulo or Ngala Gerard using getting money from me to fund this exercise is illegal against us. That. But again, if they are terrorists, as President says, we designate as terrorists, no organization there. What we know are the individuals. Dampulo does not become an organization. Ngala Gerard is an individual who is being used to do the dirty work. Can he be held accountable?
Masera and the people in the Zoom are already correct.
So all the labor will
continue the discussion next week. Let Commander Evis help us. The truth about it is, I have achieved what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to bring the connection between Cameroon and their proxies and the terrorist activities in Nigeria. The media, the US government calls them terrorists. And we have established a direct connection between Ngala Gerard, Dampulo, and these same terrorists that America is fighting. That for whatever reason, they cannot import them from Nigeria and suddenly make them mercenaries or holy armed men in Cameroon. They have been considered in Nigeria as terrorists. They cannot come into Cameroon and have another name. Commander Eddie, please conclude.
Yeah, Tarh Paddy, thank you. There. Oh, just one quick response to the mercenaries team. It is, I mean, a terrorist group can hire mercenaries, and that's what we're seeing. Bottom line, and mercenaries do commit terrorist act. So, however you credit we are facing groups that are committing terrorist acts in Ambazonia, terrorizing our civilians, killing our people. So the definition there doesn't really matter to us. So we just need to let the international community understand that our people are going through some, facing uh, all sorts of terrorism from La Republique de Cameroon and their proxies. Again, back to the original point, the point of making sure that we come to the aid of Bowie County, which is the reason for which we're here today. Coming to the aid of Bowie County because these are grave times for the county. This is when there are a lot of humanitarian impacts on the civilians that have been displaced from the main market and explained. These invasions started on the 29th of December 2025 till present. Our people around that vicinity have been forced to evacuate the area. Innocent lives have already been lost in crossfire. We've registered a lot of wounded personnel, some that have to be evacuated to medical facilities. We are facing situations of insecurity around the area. And for those who know the market, that has been the economic lifeline of Bowie County and neighboring areas. Shops are constantly being looted and burnt down. We've estimated hundreds of millions worth of goods that have been carried and looted by La Republique terrorist soldiers. So representing a very grave situation for our county. These are people, most of them would go starving now. They've made years of savings to be able to keep these goods that have been destroyed overnight. We have a situation now where most of our traders or farmers, either are men and women, they have been forced rather to lost their only source of income overnight. So this is a rallying call for all Ambazonians to come to the aid, to make sure that we are able to defend our children, that we are able to defend our elderly, our pregnant women, and even the disabled people that are at high risk. For those who know where the market is located, it is not far away from the main Baptist hospital, the stone throw, from other important facilities around where our people need access to. And they can't go through those people now because they're constantly harassing them and forcing them to pay huge sums of money as ransom. So this situation is definitely a situation that would uh, provide some kind of difficulties in our people acquiring basic needs, say food or basic necessities. Their vulnerability as traders has been exposed. Now they'll be forced to travel to areas where they've never been to seek for other materials, putting them at harm's way.
Commander
So this
Elvis,
is,
we need to
yes,
go now. There are a lot of these people. Commander Elvis, can you hear me? There are a lot of people
yes,
waiting on us. I'm sorry we started a little bit late, but the number in the
okay,
Zoom meeting is not quite encouraging. I really want people to log in now. If you're watching us on Facebook, I'm going to shut the live on Facebook as soon as we're done now. Please, Commander Elvis, you're going to inspire people again in the Zoom. Please, let's round up in the next 30 seconds so that we can start immediately and get as much as we can get to mobilize from the people. Please, Commander Elvis, you have 30
okay.
seconds.
Thank you, Dr. Paddy. Let me just round up by saying that this rally call actually is a call for us to be able to rescue the heart of Bowie County. As I mentioned again, the market is more than a market. That is where mothers feed their families. That is where youths earn honest living. That is where the entire region depends for its trade and stability. So we are asking each and everyone that is listening to us to join the Zoom. Bowie County officials are ready. They have their wine ready for every friend, every well wisher, every spectator to join us so that we can be able to you know, get the resources that are needed. We are able to stand up when civilians have nowhere else to turn to but to the county. So we're asking for you to give what you can, give it urgently, and give it with compassion.
Thank you.
Because together
Thank
we
you
can
very
prevent
much.
this
You've
crisis
heard
from
Commander
becoming a
Evis.
catastrophe.
Thank you all very much. You've heard Commander
Yes.
Evis, please. The rest of it will be said in the Zoom. Gentlemen, I want to thank you. Next week, we're going to have enough time to get into this debate. So we'll keep calling Ambazonians. We Ambazonians, we are all we have. Never be disgruntled that we call you, that ABC calls you, we calls you. If you're an Ambazonian, you should be ready for a call at 5 a.m. in the morning. Ambazonians call at any time. We are a people desperate, and we have to keep calling. And when we call ourselves, we have to answer. Unless we want to be annihilated, we need to keep calling, and you need to keep answering. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. We've come to the close of this segment. The Zoom begins now. We're going to shut down the live stream so that you can also join the Zoom meeting and participate to assist Bowie achieve what they're supposed to achieve. You don't want to wake up in the morning and find our brothers who have sacrificed their own lives littered on the floor. ABC cannot broadcast such a message. We intentionally don't broadcast that because we don't want to make our people feel discouraged. We cannot show how Cameroon has paid terrorists in Nigeria. Even the bees were saying it themselves, that they could not do the job and that they had to pay terrorists in Nigeria to come and do the job for them. So Cameroon is actively acknowledging the fact that they cannot win the war that they declared on Ambazonia. How long does the international community want this war to stay is left to them. Because we, the Ambazonian people, we have also decided that we are not going to surrender and become slaves to La République du Cameroon forever. As a basic human right, we have the right to exist as a people. And the way that it so pleases us. International law gives us that allowance. We were granted an international boundary, not by La République du Cameroon. How La République du Cameroon has their military in our country is another literature that you have to explain to us. Today we are saying that Cameroon has failed in the war that they declared on us. They are now patronizing terrorist organizations in Nigeria and carrying them into southern Cameroons to kill a people they allege are their people. That is why Ambazonians are standing here today. The first thing we came here today is to tell the world that there is an impending danger. A man from Bui cried in La République du Cameroon and said the day our people will react, even the French army combined with La République army will not be able to stop it. And this man was Joseph Weber. Today, 10 years later, you are realizing that you can't stop us. We are now saying that a terrorist activity that might take place in that sub-African region that will affect all of your interests, if not stopped today, is already in motion. So we are calling on all stakeholders to take action, and the action should be taken now. Biya and his cronies are funding terrorist activities in the southern Cameroons as a way of stopping the people from southern Cameroons from defending themselves. What are we doing? You have the answers. I rest my case.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft We must draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.